Hello, it is 2:30 p.m. in Tehran. It's 5 a.m. in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. Iran says it has successfully test-fired a long-range missile in a move that will ratchet up tension with its international critics. The state news agency says it was the first time Iranian forces had launched this kind of missile designed to be fired from land and attack ships at sea. Shehzad Bozorgmehr is following events in Tehran. He joins us now on the phone from the capital, Tehran. Shehzad, thank you for being with us. First of all, it's being classified as naval exercises that have been taking place since December 24th. But how much of this is actually sending a message to the international community?
A large portion of it is designed to send a message to the Western.
All this information is coming out through the state-run news agency there. But in terms of how Iranians themselves think about all of this, what are they telling you about what they what their country and what their government is doing?
Well, there isn't much debate regarding this issue, but the general consensus, according to the media here, is
all right, Shehzad, thank you for that. Shehzad Bozorgmehr reporting to us there from Tehran. An advisor to the Arab League is calling on the organization to pull its observers out of Syria. Teams of monitors from the Arab League have been touring the country to check whether the government is living up to its promise not to use violence against civilian protesters. Amateur videos suggest the protests have in fact increased, and opposition activists say violence against civilians is still going on. Reports say 10 more people were killed on Sunday. Well, Syria's restrictions on journalists make it impossible for CNN to report from inside the country at the moment or to verify the reports that we do receive. Mohammed Jamjoon is following developments for us from CNN Cairo. Mohammed, let's talk a little bit first about the Arab League calling for its monitors now to leave Syria. What has it prompted them to do that?
Well, Monita, this is the Arab Parliament. This is an advisory committee, an 88-member advisory committee.
Mohammed, thank you. Mohammed Jamjoon there at CNN Cairo. Well, we can, in fact, though, give you some insight into the situation from within Syria. This next report comes from a journalist who will not name for his own protection, with an exclusive first-hand look at life inside the flashpoint city of Homs.
As I made my way to the restive town of Homs, I passed the tanks that Bashar al-Assad's regime is using to besiege neighborhoods that had been...
You're watching World One. Other stories that we're covering for you here. Egypt's former leader is back in court. Hosni Mubarak, who is being treated for heart trouble, was wheeled in on a stretcher Monday. The deposed dictator's lawyers had lodged an unsuccessful appeal to have the judge replaced. Recap of just why 2011 was so tough for so many investors. Europe's major stock indices got burnt as the Eurozone debt crisis intensified after bailouts for Greece, Ireland and Portugal. Worries grew that Italy or Spain, with their far bigger economies, would need help next. The U.S. midsummer nightmare when it lost its AAA credit rating in August sent stocks across the world tumbling. The Dow plunged more than 500 points in one day, its biggest fall since the start of the downturn in late 2008. Well, CNN business anchor Charles Hodson watched every twist and turn over the past 12 months. He joins us now with his perspective. So I guess the question is, how did overall the markets do in 2011?
Well, there was one reasonably bright spot, and that was the Dow. That was up by about 5 or 6%. The S&P, though, was absolutely flat. It started the year within 1 point of where it finished it.
In terms of the Eurozone debt crisis, you know, was such a major issue in 2011. What about this year?
Well, this year could be, a little bit better, but we've got an awful lot of uncertainties, really. I mean, clearly there's the major issue as to whether nations like Spain and Italy are going to be able to service their debt. And, it's really up in the air as to whether they're not going to collapse under all of that. If we look at Italy in particular...
What we do know is that markets don't like uncertainty. Maybe they don't handle uncertainty very well. Investors certainly don't like that. So in terms of the economies in 2012, what are we looking at?
Well, I think in a way we've got a bit of certainty there. We've got the glimmers of, or more than the glimmers of a recovery in the United States. However, in Europe, we may already be seeing the economies...
You know what the U.S. presidential candidates will be looking at? jobs, and that's going to be a major concern as well. Okay, Charles, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. You are watching World One live from London. U.S. Republicans get their first official say on Tuesday about who their candidate for president will be. The party will hold dozens of caucuses in the Midwestern farming state of Iowa, and polls show Mitt Romney, who can't seem to get much love from the party's arch conservatives, is in a virtual tie with Ron Paul, a libertarian-leaning congressman who wants to return to the gold standard. Political editor Paul Steinhauser joins us now live from Des Moines, the capital of Iowa. And Paul, how important is Iowa in the race for the White House?
It is important because it goes first. No delegates are really at stake here. It's more of a beauty contest, and what it does is it doesn't often crown the event.
It seems as though, Paul, that the candidates are going in one of two ways. Either they are staying, I guess, staying firm with the Republican message. Then those that are going to the other arch conservative, the right-wing Tea Party message as well. Who do you think is really actually going right down the middle of the line and saying and actually really appealing to the voters there in Iowa?
Well, here in Iowa, social conservatives really dominate on the Republican side.
Less than 11 months to go there, Paul. Okay, thank you very much for that. Paul Steinhauser there in Des Moines in Iowa. Britain is bracing for some major travel disruption as severe weather warnings are in place across much of the UK. Meteorologist Jennifer Delgado is at the World Weather Centre with the details of that. Happy New Year to you, Jen.
Happy New Year to you as well, Monita. You're right. Really bad weather is going to be setting up for parts of the UK. We're really going to see it going into effect. Monita, we're going to send it back over to you.
All right, Jen, thank you so much.
Thanks.
You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. We'll update you to the news headlines just ahead. Stay with us here on CNN.